صلى عليه الله ربي وعلى صحابه وآله ومن تلا.
Moving on to the next word, that is the 30th word, that is ra, sheen, and the alif after that, with the fatha بدرة and the ضم بدرة, عفوا the كسر بدرة, right? Sorry, let me just make this clear. The fatha بدرة, the كسر بدرة, and the ضم بدرة. What are the meanings? Is أما الغزال في الرشا والحبل للدلو الرشا وبذل مال للرشا لحاكم مستكلبي. That's not supposed to be read. I've clarified this many times before. That is Arabi with a yam sakin understood here. جيد الفتى المذهبي. This too, as it came before in the previous classes. And لحاكم مستكلبي. This is supposed to be read with a stretch of the baz kasra. That is with a ya sakin and pronounced in the end. So looking at the meanings again, what is it referred to? So the first one he says, أما الغزال في الرشا, as for a gazelle or gazelles in general, في الرشا, or a child of a gazelle, is called Rasha. That is, you could just refer to it as a gazelle, I guess, which is the same meaning as this. So we don't have to like repeat it. Amma and so, because or so, you can say this can be just translated as for. Makes sense. As for, that's what it's saying. As for al-ghazal, for Rasha. As for the gazelle, that's called Rasha. Wal-hablu, and as for a rope, lid-dalwi, that is used for throwing buckets into wells. So, dalu, if you were to, there are two ways of looking at it here. It's possible for you to say that it's referring to the bucket itself, and that's a possibility, or you can you say that it's a masdar to throw in. So you say دلو الدلو or دلا هو الدلوة. So الدلو just refers to the bucket itself, or anything that's used to take out water, right? So it's a common noun, dalwun. The plural of it comes on the scale of, so any utensil that's used, right, to throw in the well with a rope tied to it, so you can take the water out of it traditionally or in early times. The plural is duli and dila, etc. That's a common noun, dalu. And dalu can also be a verbal noun from dala yadlu, which means to perform that action. يعني to throw that utensil inside and collect water from it and then pull it out. So والحبل للدلو could be the rope that's used to tie a utensil with it and then throw it into a well, or the one that is for the utensil itself. So you can say del can be just be the utensil here, but as long as the students are understanding. For the utensil, the rope that is used for utensil for a well makes sense. Utensil for a well, right? Or throwing that into a well, right? The throwing that happens with the other utensil. Risha, that's called thing. Risha, that's with the kasr of dara and the sheen coming there too. Now, the only thing is that, as I've explained in many of the classes before, uh, the hamzas in the end can be played with in 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 uh, in poetry, right? So technically the word is actually not risha with the without the hamza. It's actually rasha, like this. But because of it's coming in this spot, in this place that is the end of it, it's perfectly fine in light of Arabic, prosody, or the rules of Arabic prosody in general. like both Arud and Qawafi put together. It makes sense that, it's pronounced like this. So you would not even pronounce the Hamza at all, not as a slight sound that you would have as if there's a sukun there or not. You will just treat it as the Hamza is not there at all. The original word, however, is Risha, like the word kisa, you can say. Kisa, like this kisa. That's how it is, the word. And its plural comes on the scale because of this principle. You say aksiya, you say rashiyah. That makes perfect sense. But over here, he's not brought it that way. That does not change the fact that you're supposed to know the word like that, like Rasha and Risha. I hope that was clear. After that, he mentioned وَبَذْلُ مَالٍ الرُّشَى لِحَاكِمٍ مُسْتَكْلِبِ. So this it makes more sense that it is kept as is written, unless you write it like this, right? Sorry, this has been Rusha and Risha, both ways could be established for it. So the author's interpretation of this part of the text is definitely al-Risha. He's saying that refers to a rope, and al-Rusha, he says it refers to bribes. وَبَذْلُ مَالٍ, and spending, because it's spending. Wealth, mal is wealth, or you can say money too. I guess wealth makes more sense because we're just explaining what bribes are, right? They're called bribes. That is when they're given to al-Hakim. He says when it's given to a leader. Mustaklib means someone who has a lot of who's ravenous, you can say, voracious, someone who has a lot of veracity in him. So yeah, someone with veracity, like someone who has who has so much greed in him that he's not satisfied with whatever he has or he should have, makes more sense. So this is indirectly saying a person who takes bribes is not satisfied with whatever he's got, even though he should be, which is not a right thing to do. So whatever money is given, Rusha. This will be a plural too, again, a plural of Rushwa or Rishwa, both ways. Rishwa happens to be, with the kasr of dara, happens to be the more popular singular word that's used for it. The equivalent of it, according to what has been mentioned by Ibn Malik, equivalent, or more clearly, so the proper by principle broken plural that's made from it, it should be Risha, like the second word that we just came across, وَالْحَبْلُ لِلدَّلْوِ الرِّشَى. As Ibn Malik says in his Al-Kubra, وفعل لفعلة وجعل بالرأي للفعل وما إن نقل واحفظه في فعلة وفعل وصمة وفعلة وفعل etc. etc. So the point is وفعل لفعلة وجعل بالرأي للفعل وما إن نقل. He says that the word فعل, right, رشاون over here literally, is something that's its proper broken plural will come on the scale of fi'al, that is rishaw literally, but then the changes, through the changes, it should be risha. But if the singular is being looked at as rushwa, because there's tathlith, that is the trilateral way of reading that word as well. Rashwa, rishwa, and rushwa, all referring to a bribe because it's a singular word. Then you get as a plural, then you would say, okay, you look at the qiyasat. So the qiyas for fu'la, as Ibn Malik rahimahullah says, وَفُعْلٌ لِفُعْلَةٍ وَفُعْلَ أفعل واستندره مولا فعلا وشذ في رؤيا وفعلة وفي تخمة ونفساء فقت فيه. He says that the fu'l is the broken plural that comes by principle for the singular word that is fu'la, rushwa, right? Rusha. And fi'l, it says وفعل لفعلة وجعل بالرأي للفعل وما إن نقل عفوا. And he says that fi'la, the singular scale, like rishwa, its plural, broken plural by principle is going to be by principle, I mean by qiyas. It is supposed to be fi'l that is Risha, Risha. So Risha and Rusha both can refer to bribes, but the author here has chosen Rusha purposely because Risha he's able to find a different meaning for it. That is the plural of, sorry, the singular of Arshia that refers to the well robes. And Rasha with the fath of the ra is pretty obvious. So the hams and otherwise, when you're taking from this text, you should make sure that you're not really definitively looking at it in a way that um, um, that it's you would not consider the hamza to be present or to be absent based on that, right? And it should be understood. So after this class, it should be clear to everyone. If anyone has any questions, they can send them to me, inshallah. Which is the more common word when it comes to Rusha and Risha and Rasha, etc. It seems like as early as it can be found among like poets that are pre-Islamic. Al-Aisha, for example, who's one of the authors of the Suspended Odes, he very clearly mentions the word rishwa. So from that, it makes sense that risha would be the more popular plural for it too. As it says, very famously, Diwan the Bayt comes to لا يأخذ الرشوة في حكمه ولا يبالي غبن الخاسر. And لا عفوا no without it. لا يأخذ الرشوة في حكمه. لا يأخذ الرشوة. That's the riwayah of the text or the bayt. That is a couple that is related from Al-Aisha is with kasr of dara. That is لا يأخذ الرشوة في حكمه. So the plural by principle that is qiyas and should be risha. That rusha is also established though because of the trilateral way of reading this word itself, and the meaning does not change in that case. The plural, the singular word itself, is read in three different ways, and it's it just means that, as I've explained. I hope that was clear. After that, al-mustaklib is just a sort of like a filler, you can say, even though it makes sense here, but the istiklab, having veracity in yourself, is not a condition for some bribe to be a bribe, right? So I hope that's clear. But yeah, you can say that this might be a filler, right? But it's a good filler. It's a good filler because it's not just like isma' or qul or ihfaz, etc. Ihfaz can also have a meaning. So I would say somewhat kind of a filler because it does give you additional piece of information. So it's not really a filler per se, but if it is one, then it's definitely a good one. I'm inclined towards saying that it's not a filler. I hope that was clear. So three words were covered. A gazelle is called a Rasha. A well rope is called a Risha, and or bribes are called a Rusha. Rasha, Risha, Rusha.
ربي وعلى صحابه وآله ومن تلا اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد